It's time for... Today I ask, what happens when you dismiss the devil, yet the devil continues to grow? I speak of ISIS, a fight we don't want, but a fight that wants us. Is wanting war on them actual warmongering? Not these days. If you think concern for the survival of our world is warmongering, then you gravely misunderstand the purpose of our nation's defenses. The belief that war must be waged does not require the believer to be a soldier. Let's simplify. Would you not call the police because you never served as a cop? Do you need to be a fireman before you pull a fire alarm? It's that logic that emboldens evil. The point of our military is to act with ruthless efficiency against perceived dangers. That's it. And our military didn't just stumble into this lifestyle. They actually chose it. I suppose for a media obsessed with grievance, it's hard to understand that kind of service. I ask those who repeat no boots on the ground like it's some kind of talking heads Tourette's. Why are we telling evil what we won't do? When you say it's not our fight to those whose only goal is to fight, who exactly are you pleasing? The very animals who find solace in our suffering. The time for binge-watching Homeland while surfing the web for Kardashian's butt is over. The wolf is knocking at the door, and he's hoping that we don't answer. It's time that we do.
Agreed.
Yeah, so KG, General Jack Keane said on, I think it was on Fox, said probably need air power to basically trash the Islamic State and let everybody else finish the job. Do you think that's possible without having to go down there and finding these guys?
No, it's not possible. In fact, it's happening right down. So when people say over and over and yell in my face all crazy, you want boots on the ground? You want boots? Like that, the Tourette's you were talking about? Yeah. Come on. We have operational forces on the ground right now. That's why we were able to get the intel and know where we can hit these targets, okay, and strike with efficiency and deadly force. They're going to have to do these strikes in Syria. They're going to have to do them in Iraq. You got to get the job done completely, because otherwise they'll just change the letterhead and it'll be a different group or a different name. But this is a substantial effort that they have forward right now in terms of ISIS. This cannot be ignored. I think they have everybody's attention now. I certainly hope that the White House finally gets it. So now what you're seeing is a lot more special operations of forces groups that are going in there. They've got, now we're working with the UK and with MI6 and MI5 to go in and conduct these operations, to specifically go in and take out the top command structure. Mm-hmm. That, I think, is going to be very important, coupled with the air strikes. You can't just do one thing over and over again and expect to get the job done right. It's much more complicated than that.
Hey, Bob, I want to play you this Dan Rather. He was on a network called CNN. Not sure you've heard of it. Mm-hmm. Talking about the idea of calling for boots on the ground.
My first question to anyone who's on television saying, we have to get tough, we need to put boots on the ground, we need to go to war in one of these places, is I will hear you out if you tell me you are prepared to send your son, your daughter, your grandson, your granddaughter to that war for which you're beating the drums. If you aren't, I have no patience with you, and don't even talk to me.
Bob, I get it's an eloquent statement. Mm-hmm. It's sincere, but it's not right.
Well, listen, I was happened to be at a meeting, a place none of you would have been invited, which was a liberal meeting here this weekend. There was a group of liberals meeting.
Sounds really fun.
And I got,
in New York, really?
yes. I was very surprised.
The
Actually,
whole city is one big liberal meeting every day.
But I got, as you can imagine, I get a bunch of crap when I walk into those meetings, and it occurred to me when we were there talking about we don't want to go back to war in Iraq. This is not a war in Iraq anymore. This is not the Iraq war. This is a war against a caliphate that has made a decision that it wants to attack the West. Now, having said that, there is a precedent for not having to put boots on the ground, and that is put intel on the ground, put special forces like we did in the Balkans. We bombed the hell out of them. It took us about 18 months, but they finally gave up. And I think that would be acceptable to the American people. It would be effective, because otherwise, if we don't expect that we're going to bomb this thing forever and ever and ever, it ain't going to work that way. I mean, somebody's got to pick up the mantle down there. We cannot carry this load on our own.
But we're getting help now.
Well, no, but I'm talking about among Muslims, the Iraqi military. And others.
I agree. We have to get hope from them.
And if the Saudis would just get in, this, of course, they won't, but they should get in it, because they're the ones most threatened.
What scares me about this, Andrea, is this is the first time in history, I think, I'm not a historian, that religious extremism, radicalism, can marry now with nuclear weapons to actually achieve an apocalyptic vision. They used to be able to talk about the apocalypse without succeeding, but all they need is a nuke.
Yeah, it's very, very scary. And also we learned that ISIS has drones.
Yeah.
And so they're getting very, very savvy with their technology, which they used to not be very savvy. But when you look at that Terror Week, the graphic that you had, this is a scary, murderous Islamic cult. It's an Islamic murder cult.
Yeah.
I think we should stop calling them ISIS. I know that's what they call themselves, but it makes it sound like it's a flower or some kind of, cold or something that you get. What's really disturbing to me, though, is, and I actually do agree with Bob, that we could launch a massive airstrike, and instead of boots on the ground being our young men and women with the boots on the ground, let it be the Kurds, the Iraqis, and the Syrians. I mean, I don't like Bashar al-Assad, but I don't think we should have drawn that red line with him and then backed away. Because look, he's keeping them at bay. I mean, people keep saying the enemy of our enemy is our friend. It's kind of true in this situation. Let his army
I wish he would
fight it.
do more, because he's an evil guy.
But what's most upsetting, though, real quick, is over the weekend, it's one thing to have a lack of a strategy, but Greg, they can't even get on the same page, the administration. So we have the CIA's Mike Morell warning that there's going to be another 9/11 style attack or the potential for that. And then we have Dempsey, the Joint Chiefs coming out and saying, no, I don't think that's true. And then walking that back out today. It's like, will the administration get singing off the same song sheet at minimum?
Well,
are they a threat or not?
But it looked like the brass, what they did was they talked to the politicians and they eased back on the warning, because at first they said it was the scariest thing they'd ever seen. It was an apocalyptic threat. Now they're saying, they're not a threat to the homeland. And who are we supposed to believe? Are we supposed to believe the same people that called ISIS JV and that missed their whole advance?
They don't want
now
to
we're
look
supposed
bad.
to believe that they're not an imminent threat? I don't believe anything.
There's not an intelligent person in the intelligence business that's not out there saying this could be another 911 to cover their ass. It's exactly what they're doing.
I think it's more than that, Bob.
So then why are they next day saying they're not?
I mean, they could. It might happen, but I'm saying before 9/11, nobody predicted that. Now everybody's predicting.
I know, but you know what?
The administration is not all of a sudden predicting another 9/11. All of a sudden now they're saying, wait, you know what?
Yeah.
This is just soft power. We're going to use this is a regional thing. They don't have the capability or the desire to attack our homeland. That's not true.
And it's one thing to verbally CYA. It's another thing to legitimately cover your...
Yeah, but you got to remember, this administration has been bombing there for 30 days. I mean, this is not... A lot of this stuff was done covertly, but we've been in there fighting. And we've been winning.
And they should have done it earlier. And they should have rescued the hostages when they had the opportunity to, when the intel was fresh.
You're going to hate me for this, but I think they're vastly overrated if you get superior forces against them.
All right. Well, the point is... I think that it's a mistake to tell our enemy what we won't do.
Correct.
And rather is wrong. These guys are adults. They're adults. They're not. We're not sending children anywhere. These are adults that want to fight, especially the combat units.
That's why he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
But don't you think they beheaded an American journalist?
Yes.
By now, don't you think we would have at least killed 10,000 of those terrorists?
Yeah.
Well, what are we waiting for?
From Dan's standpoint, a lot of people are children.
Okay, yeah, that's true. All right, ahead on the 5. Some more controversy at this year's Video Music Awards, and Miley wasn't the one causing it this time.